Hello, everyone. Sorry for being late a bit, but we are in France. My name is Sonia. I'm a person who started to organize this event in Paris, but obviously there are so many people who helped us. So to start with, I'm going to tell you a bit about what is Plugin organization, because obviously it's a foundation. Because it's a first event in Paris. So I guess it's very good to explain why are we here, and then I'm going to tell you a bit about myself, do a very short introduction to blockchain and cryptocurrencies in case there are any people who don't know anything. Any people who don't know anything about blockchain and cryptocurrencies? Perfect. Everyone is an expert, and then Magda from Luna will tell you more about cryptocurrencies and about different applications of blockchain. So just different use cases for blockchain technology, and then we're gonna have Marek from Artea who will tell you more about how you can use blockchain in art management industry, because I was really surprised when I heard about this use case. It's really cool. Okay, so to start with, Plug is a Polish innovation diaspora, and it's an event that, it's a foundation that aims to connect Polish people who deal with innovations abroad. Currently, there are events in San Francisco, in London, in Dublin, in 2 Polish cities. They're starting in New York, in Singapore, I think this month, and today we are starting in Paris. So it's a very big foundation, and it's a very good to be in touch with these people, because they are very influential Polish people, I guess, all over the world. So you can see New York, Singapore, very many locations, and probably the foundation is working to open even more. Hello. Doesn't work. Okay, so help our social media, because obviously it's a foundation, and it would be great if you could help us out. Write something on Twitter, maybe tweet a bit. You can see what is the tag, and also if you can check out our Facebook page, that would be amazing. Okay, so about me, my name is Sonia. I'm a CEO of Fiat-Based Token Project, and also I'm a founder of Wicked Crypto Meetup. So I assume that there will be some people here who don't know anything about blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and therefore I wanted to explain what is my company working on at the end, and this is how the presentation is built. So I'm going to start with telling you briefly what is Wicked Crypto Meetup. Wicked Crypto Meetup is just a series of meetups. We started in Warsaw, and we are inviting speakers from international blockchain scene. And we also had some meetups in Paris and in New York. There's going to be a meetup next week. So just to give you a brief idea what kind of speakers we're inviting, so like Jonathan Chester from Bitwage and Forbes, president of NEM Foundation, or CFO of Bitflyer, which is like one of the biggest exchanges for Bitcoin. Guys from Decred were visiting Warsaw last week. Many very, very good speakers. Okay, so, I just wanted to do a brief introduction about blockchain and cryptocurrencies, but I guess you know it all. So, I'm just going to go through this quickly. Blockchain is a technology that is showing it that continuously grows, and the way it works is there is like a pool of transactions, and then they are being mined, and they create a block, and once different pool of transactions is being mined, this block is on top of the other block, and this is why it's called blockchain. Perfect, let's go there. Cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is just a digital form of money asset. No one really can tell at the moment, because in different countries it's being classified in a different way. Cryptocurrencies is just, you know, digital assets. They are very volatile in value, and you can use them to transact on blockchain, right? But also the important, this is a very old picture, and it's on purpose because I wanted to capture IOTA, which is at the bottom, and IOTA will be of our interest slightly later because there is a very interesting fact about IOTA. So yeah, is cryptocurrency, does it mean blockchain? Does blockchain mean decentralization? Does blockchain mean cryptocurrency? No, cryptocurrency is not always based on the blockchain. It's not always blockchain technology. Like, sorry. Yeah, where is it? Yeah, so IOTA is a tangle. And so the way it works is when one user sends a transaction, they need to approve 2 other transactions. So effectively, it creates a tangle instead of a blockchain. So what I'm trying to say is that very often when we say blockchain, we actually mean distributed ledger technology, because a tangle is just a different kind of distributed ledger technology. So there are many people who don't know about it, and I guess it's very important to notice that. Now I'm going to use the computer. Okay, so blockchain doesn't always mean decentralization, because there are 3 different kinds of blockchains. You can have a public blockchain, you can have public blockchain like Ethereum, the ones that we hear about, right? And then yes, it could potentially mean decentralization, because it's public, everyone can access it, and everyone can use it to transact. But there are also different kinds of blockchains, like consortium blockchains and private blockchains. And consortium ones can be used by let's say few companies, okay? So it's not public, it's just, I can't access it. So consortium blockchains can be used, for example, for financial institutions. So few financial institutions can be connected to one blockchain, but yes, it's not a very decentralized solution. And then there are also private blockchains where there's just one institution using it, one company, for example. Yeah, and also I wanted to point this out because it's a very cool slide. I've stolen it from Bitflyer's presentation. They are showing a prediction for Japanese market, but I guess it very nicely shows where cryptocurrencies. So this is the entire market of blockchain use cases, right? And cryptocurrencies are like here. So if you can say this market is not as big as other use cases of cryptocurrency, of blockchain technology, sorry. So for example, supply chain is the green one. You can tell that it's like way bigger. And I think it clearly shows that blockchain technology has much bigger potential than cryptocurrencies only. But Magda will talk about, Magda will tell more about it. And yeah, this is just also like one graph to show you that there are so many different use cases for blockchain technology. It can be used for sovereign digital identity, or it can be used for signing contracts. It can be used in art management, in healthcare, in automotive industry. There are just so many industries where blockchain can be used. And it's not just finance, right? And yeah, that was just a very short introduction to what is blockchain cryptocurrencies. This is my company, so I said I'm gonna explain this at the end. So fiat-based token is a company that is creating a payment processor. It's a mobile payment application where you have your international bank account number, and you can do normal transactions with fiat money like euros or dollars, and you can spend it in shops, and you can send money to your colleagues, and just standard transactions. But at the same time, you can exchange money from your international bank account number straight away into fiat money based on a public blockchain. So if you have, let's say, 100 euros in your bank account, you can exchange it into 101 euro tokens based on a Ethereum blockchain, for example. So then it means that you will be able to settle smart contracts with normal currencies. And this is a very massive use case. No, it's not, because first thing is that we are actually starting to work on regulation. So we are planning to become a financial institution. So that's the first differentiator, because Tether is just a token, and then there's just like there's no right to not withdraw the money, but redeem it, right? So let's say you bought $1,001 tokens, but it means that you only own tokens. It doesn't mean you actually own $1,000, right? Because there's no regulation. And with this solution, it's actually normally regulated money. It's just a different digital representation of fiat money. Yeah, always, yeah. Yeah, it's real time audited, and you know all AML and KYC procedures must be met. So yes, it's like hardcore regulation. No electronic money institution. This product is not online yet. I mean, it's not live yet. We just finishing the demo right now, and yeah, we are speaking to different companies already to improve the product and to work on implementation of this product. And yeah, so it's gonna be live in like 1 year when we finally go through all the regulation. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Like we were supposed to give this to ask questions. You have to, yeah, you have to talk directly to this. Okay. I totally forgot.
But people can hear me like this.
But it's for the video, I think.
It's weird for me to hold this.
Yeah, but it's for the video, I think.
Okay. It's still weird to hold. Anyway, no, I can't. So I have a.
So maybe take just this one.
Hello. Yeah. So I have two questions. Is this like gonna be centralized or decentralized?
No, it's gonna be centralized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second question is: Are you going to do an ICO for it?
Yeah, sure. We are going to do the ICO, but we have a very good token model. So it's not just a utility. Obviously, you can imagine that if you invest in ICO, then you know you don't want to receive a coin that is worth exactly €1 all the time, right? So we have a utility token, which entitles you to send free transactions using the fiat money based on the public blockchain. So normally we would charge you 0.1% fee when you want to send a fiat transaction to a different user, but if you hold the token, then you can send one free transaction every single day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Hi.
Hello.
Do you know about DAI?
About what?
The DAI token from the maker company?
Yeah, sure.
Which is collateral based?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Do you think that eventually it is going to be more logical to use DAI, or is there some interest to use fiat to have a stable coin, or the collateral approach is better?
Sure. Yeah, I get your question. And so the thing is that it's not going to happen anytime soon that you're going to be using this sort of solutions, right? For now on, if there are any companies that want to start using smart contracts, like let's say insurance companies, they will not start using cryptocurrencies. It's going to be fiat money, and it's not going to change like anytime soon. And also, it needs time for normal people like us, not like us because we know about cryptocurrencies, but like other people who don't know about it to start using it. So this is why we are creating an application where when you can exchange fiat money from your bank account with one click into fiat money based on the public blockchain, because then you can use smart contracts without even knowing it, right? So.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I think we have to finish this part of the presentation because we have Magda, another speaker. If you could just log in. I think this is everything from my presentation. If you have any more questions, you can catch me later. But yeah, pretty much that's it.
Okay, hey guys. My name is Magdalena. I'm from Luno, as you probably noticed. I'm a person responsible for... is it working? Okay. I'm a person responsible for region Eastern Europe in total, so including Poland, Czech Republic, Romania, etc. I will tell you later why we are focusing on emerging markets, but just out of the topic, we are looking for a country manager for France. It's the job based in London, so if anyone is interested, just approach me later. We can talk about it. So I would like to tell you a little bit about Bitcoin, about blockchain, and also I will show you a couple of basic informations, including some short movies. I know that all of you already knows what the Bitcoin is, and it can be a little bit more fun, but there is a hidden agenda, so don't worry, there is always a hidden agenda. So let's start from Bitcoin. So we already know what is that, right? The problem with Bitcoin is only one, it's a regulation. So because it's completely decentralized, it's really difficult to actually make any KYC or AML. Everyone knows what is KYC procedure or AML? Yeah? Okay, so what is KYC? Yes, what is AML? Exactly. So with KYC, the problem is that actually it's really difficult to identify the customer. And every time we discuss with regulators, they ask us questions how you identify the customer. So that's why, more or less, once per 3 weeks, they are closing our bank accounts. Because when we have a huge turnover coming to the bank, let's say over £1 million, the bank starts to panic. And it's like, what the fuck is happening? Sorry, what the hell is happening? So from where is that money? And we actually can't answer that question. Of course, we run the KYC. So now we are trying to be licensed with FCA. This is the regulator in UK because the headquarters is based in London. We are already regulated in Singapore. We also have offices in Jakarta, in Kuala Lumpur, so Indonesia, Malaysia. And we are, let's say, fully regulated in Africa, but in Africa nothing is regulated. But this is where actually company started. So company was set up in Singapore because the regulations over there are quite favorable. But South Africa is the biggest market for cryptocurrencies. I'm not sure if you are aware, but over 50% of the 5% of the people in South Africa actively trade Bitcoin. It's connected with lack of trust in the government. So you know how is the currency in South Africa, rand versus dollars, and the price is changing. So that's why South Africa is #1 if we are talking about the Bitcoin. But this is what is the #1 aim of the company. So regulate everything, help regulators to actually set up the rules. Okay, so basic information, we already know what is the difference. But I would like to play 1 minute movie. It's really basic movie which we created inside our company. And I can't play it from the presentation, so give me a second. In a 1 minute, what the Bitcoin is and why we sell Bitcoin like that to the customers.
Intuitive than most people think. It's a new technology that's unlike anything.
Okay, sorry guys. I was a little bit selfish.
Or have seen before. So it's easier to understand Bitcoin as a combination of different than comparing it to something specific. Firstly, Bitcoin is a payment system. It allows you to move money from one person or company faster, cheaper, and more safely. Second, Bitcoin is similar to gold. Many people even refer to it as digital gold. Like gold, it's a really good store of value, but in addition, it's also really easy to move. Third, Bitcoin is like the internet. No single person or entity controls it, so anyone can use it as they like. these three aspects of Bitcoin, payment system, digital gold, similarity to the internet, reinforce one another to create something. Now, just imagine what would happen if you took a piece of gold, mix it all up, out comes something brand new.
It's really difficult to navigate on that screen. Wait a second, I will just close it. Okay, so we are actually selling Bitcoin to the customers in a really easy way, as you saw. Because every time when we ask our customers, do you know what Bitcoin is? They were like, oh my God, this is extremely complicated. This is only for geeks, only for freak people. But we noticed that especially in Europe, that's why actually companies started to focusing on Europe, because we were focusing on Asia and on Africa, where the turnover is way bigger and people are more willing to buy cryptocurrencies. But we noticed that a lot of people who don't know nothing about Bitcoin, they simply just want to own it. Just to say to the friends, you know, I own Bitcoin when they drink a beer. So this is completely different type of the customer that we, for example, have in Asia. In Asia, we have people who do arbitrage, who are really heavy investors, who use mostly exchange. Because in Luna, we have three products. One, it's e-wallet, so mostly buy, sell, store. Second one is exchange, so quite complicated product where you can make the arbitrage, when you can speculate, etc. And the third one is API for merchants, meaning regular payments. Okay, but when we saw that in Europe, a lot of people just buy Bitcoin for a small amount of money, the average value of the transaction is more or less 150 euros. So it's nothing compared to people who actually invest, right? And we decided, okay, so we just want to create something really easy for entry level in Europe. So really easy interface, really easy wallet. Okay, and here just one additional thing about the inventor, so Satoshi Nakamoto. Quite funny fact, so there is a really cool speculation that Satoshi Nakamoto was created by those four companies. And actually now it's a huge investigation with some prize, if you will be able to prove that, which somehow makes sense. Samsung, Toshiba, Nakamichi, Motorola, well, you can go into that direction. Of course, sometimes a lot of people, they think, okay, sorry. I'm the inventor, etc. But most of those people, they are just scammers. No one believes that it was actually one person. And do you know, guys, what actually Satoshi Nakamoto means in Japanese? I have a 3 Luna t-shirt, so if someone knows, I can give you a t-shirt. Okay, so I will play a short movie, 1 minute, and you will be able to check it. No? No, Nakami, it's central origin. So you're close, and Satoshi? Okay, I will tell you in a second. You are size M, right? So here you are. But seriously, do you speak Japanese? That's amazing. Okay, now you really impressed me. I was pretty sure that no one will speak. Mm-hmm.
Despite many
And this is actually the beauty of that technology, right? So we exactly know what we can do with that technology, and we exactly know what is happening inside. So thanks to that, we know that actually blockchain, the whole technology on which Bitcoin is based, can become a completely new financial system. Thanks to blockchain, money will be cheaper, transaction will be safer, so there are no borders. It's totally interoperable. So on the one hand, it's transparent, but on the other hand, it's private. But this is what I mentioned before, the regulator have to come up with a really good KYC procedures. If they will do that, of course, with the help of blockchain companies, I'm pretty sure that that it will be transparent enough and private enough for individual users or companies. It's fully controllable and programmable. And the best thing actually in blockchain is that completely open, and thanks to that you have equal access for everyone. So even if someone lives in Zimbabwe or Nigeria, has the same access to the financial system as, for example, someone in Paris. And thanks to that, we can actually completely change the way how we live. So the cost of living will go down. You will not have a lot of fees around it. You will not have a lot of banks who actually charge you money. You will not have a lot of third parties, payment service providers, and everyone who is taking his part. You will be simply connected in a second with a person in Nigeria. Actually, in Nigeria, we are also really big. In total, we have around 2 million customers, means active wallets. As active wallet, I mean at least one transaction. And a lot of them are in Nigeria. Mostly because of that Nigerian people want to trade with other countries. It's really difficult to take money from Nigeria. So that's why they are using Bitcoin. It's a similar situation with South Africa also. It's really difficult, especially if you run a business, to take money from South Africa or Singapore. That kind of a system, which is completely open and everyone can work in that, stimulate innovation. So we will be able, I will show you 7 ideas, what is already happening, and the possibilities are actually endless. Of course, it unlocks completely new business models, nothing what we know for now. So we are not talking about fintech. Now fintech companies, they just improve your experience. Blockchain, it's a revolution, let's be honest. It's completely different way of thinking about finance, about making business. And of course, it's drive the velocity of money, and even transactions between the countries will change. The government will change. Of course, it will not happen over the night. We need to wait a couple of years. First of all, we have to bridge the old with the new. So the old, I mean bank, the new, I mean blockchain. Then we have to grow the ecosystem. So we have to have a lot of people who are using Bitcoin or using blockchain technology, a lot of companies or other altcoins. So when a lot of people will use it, then we will create demand. So leverage this new paradigm. It's also that we have to give the value to the customers. So it's not only has to be cheaper and faster, but also a little bit better. So we believe that it will happen in 5-10 years. I personally believe that it will be even up to 10 years to become a really global, full operational financial system. But we are on the right path. So as you can track what is happening with Bitcoin from the beginning, you can see that actually everything, starting from transaction price, whatever, it grows year to year. Of course, there is a huge volatility, but we think about huge volatility because you have a huge drops from time to time. And media are writing, oh my God, now, end of the world, investors are losing money. But end of the day, it's not so bad. So if you will compare the prices year to year, what was happening with Bitcoin, every year, Bitcoin was growing. Okay, besides 1 year. As you can see, I deliberately missed 2014. But in 2014, probably all of you remember, there was a huge hack of exchange. So that's why investors, they lost 62% of their income as far as I remember. But as you can see, from 285, 751 in 2013, 52% growth. And last 2 years, over 100. So it looks really great. I think that, how many of you, they actually own some Bitcoin? Mm-hmm. Wait a second. To date, okay, so it was on the middle of the year. So I have a data which are in the middle of the year. So I'm really sorry. I should put it here. So there was to date, and I didn't copy that. My mistake. Okay. Nevertheless, it grows extremely, extremely fast. So if it grows so fast, who actually buys that? Of course, I saw that like 30% of you have a Bitcoin. So 30% of you buy Bitcoin. But we have two groups. Okay, maybe I will start also why we came to Europe now, not earlier, and we were focusing on Africa, Asia, or emerging markets. Because the disruption happens most of the time in emerging markets. Because people, they are more willing to try new things on emerging markets and on smaller markets. When the markets are really developed, there is a lack of trust. So if something new comes, people are afraid to use that. And also there is a lot of other players. They have a lot of other solutions. So that's why in a lot of cases, emerging markets, they have to prove the business model, and then you can move to the developed markets. But more or less, there are two groups who buy Bitcoin: need and greed. Need, quite obvious. So people who actually have to use it. I'm not talking about drugs, okay? I'm talking about people who don't have access to bank infrastructure, like Africa. I'm talking about people who wants to buy something really expensive from China, from Russia, etc., and don't want to pay crazy fees. So people are in need. Those people are in need. But also there are greed people. So just people who trade actively, who speculate, who make arbitrage, who are investors and diversify their portfolio. So those people who are greedy. And when they are greedy, this is actually the best type of the customer. And I believe that all of you are greedy, and that's why you are here. Because now, over 80% of the customers of any altcoin, including Bitcoin, of course, this is greedy people. But it will change. So now what is happening, we see that more people, they buy Bitcoin from other reasons. They don't want to earn a lot of money. They simply want to pay with Bitcoin. We already have integrated 1,000 merchants. Unfortunately, in Europe, only 50. The rest is in Asia and in Africa. But step by step, we see that a lot of places actually accept payments in Bitcoin or Ethereum. I personally believe that Bitcoin will not be that payment method. It will rather be Ethereum, simply because of the delay in the transaction, probably. But that thing 80-20 will change, and probably in 5 years, we will have 80% people in need and only 20 greedy people. But till that time, I hope that you will be rich. So greed is really good because it creates liquidity. So if the price goes up, people buy Bitcoin, yeah? It should be opposite. If you are a good investor, you buy when the price goes down. But unfortunately, the human behavior is different. So when the price goes up, people buy like crazy. When the price goes down, people sell like crazy. And that's how the world works. But more greedy people, more network effect, more liquidity, and then we will actually have a demand on the market. And of course, the positive effect, so the price will go up. More people will use it, the price will go up. And now I would like to tell you a little bit what is actually happening with a blockchain, not even with the Bitcoin. So blockchain can be in every industry. It will be really difficult to find an industry where you can't use blockchain technology. And the amount of money is incredible. If we are talking about transaction with cryptocurrencies, total altcoins and Bitcoin, it's not even 0.1 if we are talking about the total amount of transactions which are happening on the world. So mostly where it's already happening and Bitcoin is taking over a little bit is remittances. I mean transactions between different countries, right? E-commerce, so payments, it's also a huge amount of money. And I believe end of the day, Bitcoin will be one of the biggest payment method over there. Of course, all the financial services, loans, etc. I will tell you a little bit more about it. And gold, for now, it's 6 trillion plus, more or less. So here I meant investment. So what is happening now? The first industry is, of course, banking and payments. This is where blockchain grows really fast. We cooperate with 7 banks, so one company only with 7 banks, and we actually started from the bank. So the company started to build a blockchain solution for Standard Chartered Bank. It's the biggest bank in South Africa, actually in the whole Africa. So this is where we started, but then we decided, okay, banks are so regulated that it's not possible to actually use that. And also, the problem with the banks is that you kill the idea of decentralization. Yeah? Okay, but more or less, end of the day, they will use that even to have a faster and cheaper transactions. Here you can see what is happening now. So a lot of third parties, a lot of different banks, PSPs, so payment service providers, a lot of KYC, etc. With blockchain, we just need a regulator. We need someone who will come up with really good KYC, and then we just have a one report, and we can do everything what we want, including loan for people in Zambia, which is actually the biggest world problem now. So no access to the bank industry for people in countries not so developed, let's call it like that. Cybersecurity. So that's no question that the blockchain is more secure than every other network. And of course, now you can tell me, yeah, but there were so many hacks of exchanges, and so many things happened with the Bitcoin when you lost your address of the Bitcoin, etc., etc. But end of the day, of course, it happened. It happened, but it happened to the companies. So you have to remember that blockchain is quite new. Yeah, so if it's quite new, of course, some companies will come and they will create solutions which are not secured enough, and it can happen. But end of the day, the whole technology, because of that decentralization, is extremely safe. So we will not have a problem with identity security, with data manipulation, or security for malicious insiders. So it will not even be possible to make the frauds inside the companies. Maybe not possible, but it will be way more difficult. And the third thing, actually, it's also a really cool thing which is happening now, and it's really hot topic. I'm pretty sure that that you know Internet of Things. So what is happening now? We have Internet of Things connected with a cloud. So for example, you have a fridge, your fridge talks to the cloud orders something from the computer in Amazon, right? And it works through the cloud. But with a blockchain, your fridge will be talking directly to Amazon, and it will be in a second, and it will be really cheap. So there will be no third party. And this is what is already happening. So the total elimination of the cloud. So all the information will be written in a blockchain, or it will be a smart contract, and you will not have an IoT like this you have now. You will have, you will kill me. You will have a blockchain IoT network, and you will be able to actually buy from China whatever you want for your fridge or for your car, whatever you actually will want. And the cloud will be eliminated. The another thing really cool which is happening is using blockchain in the government. And I spend a lot of time in Estonia. I actually have e-residency, and I will show you what's that. It's really cool. It costs only 100 euro, and every one of you actually can have a residency in Estonia. So 100 euros. Yeah, it's quite cheap. You just have to fill the form, pay 100 euro, and you will have an e-residency. And what for? So you can set up the company in Estonia then. The tax structure in Estonia, it's really cool. And if you are not taking money outside of your company, you actually don't have to pay tax if you use that inside your company. So to set up company in Estonia, it's like a heaven. And you can do that actually having 100 euro to become a resident. But it decreases bureaucracy. It's actually completely transparent, so you can see what is happening with the money in the government. And Estonia did it. Estonia is fully digitalized. You don't have to go to embassy to apply for a passport. You can do everything online. You don't have to go to any institution to apply for ID, anything. You can simply do it online, and a residency project is based on a blockchain technology. Maybe the name, it's not perfect because you will not become a citizen of Estonia, you have to know that, but you will be able to actually run a business over there and do everything what you want if you are talking about having a business. This is 1 minute movie. You want to watch it? Wait.
Our new digital world knows no borders, and great business ideas are no longer limited by where you work or live. Estonia is a digital nation of citizens to throw shackles of national boundaries. Literally anyone in the world can apply. E-residency is legitimate and transparent. A government-issued digital identity. Freedom to run a global EU company online from anywhere in the world. Establish a company within a day. Access business banking. Use international payment providers. Digitally sign documents and contracts. And declare Estonian taxes online. We're Estonia. Tech is our expertise. And through e-residency, we are empowering entrepreneurs everywhere. No matter where you were born, no matter what passport you carry, you can apply. Use e-residency to run your business from anywhere in the world. Unleash your entrepreneurial potential, because no business should be bound by physical borders. Apply for e-residency today and join our new digital nation. e-resident.gov.ee.
I will share the presentation later, so if anyone would like to set up a business over there, you can click and do it. Also, the good thing with Estonia is that actually National Bank of Estonia, they support cryptocurrency, so you can open the bank account in 1 hour online for crypto-related players, and as well, they have a sandbox for crypto-related entities, so you can actually make a demo of your product on a sandbox. Also, Lithuania has that kind of a sandbox if you would like to try, but in Lithuania, you need at least 1 week to set up the company and a lot of papers. Okay, so actually Estonia is leading blockchain in government industry. That's amazing what is happening, and I truly recommend you guys to check what they are doing. It's insane. Of course, healthcare. So healthcare, I just made a small screen to show you how many companies they are already using blockchain, and they are in healthcare. In that industry, there is the highest number of blockchain solutions implemented. Because banks, they are working, almost all the banks, they are working on such solutions. But unfortunately, those solutions are not live. They are just thinking about it and trying to do something. But in healthcare, it's actually happening. It's happening because there is a problem with sensitive data. So it's not a good idea to create a central database with such sensitive data of the patients. So they need a solution. So that's why they are actually actively checking blockchain, and it's heavily used in healthcare industry, especially that you have additional money in a lot of countries for that. Okay, another industry. This is something what I always repeat to everyone when I hear that Uber and Airbnb, it's a peer-to-peer. Well, no, because Uber and Airbnb, they control the platform, right? So it's not a peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer will be if we will talk with our driver directly with a blockchain. And there are already in London 2 startups who are doing that, so who are working on that solution. So I believe that end of the day, everything will be completely decentralized without some kind of a third party in the middle. So you will be able to actually directly pay to your Uber driver or to someone who is renting the apartment. And that industry grows quite fast also because of the cross-border. So you don't have any extra fees. And of course, most corrupted industry. That's interesting that the highest number of the frauds, it's actually in charity. So that's why, because with a charity, you actually don't know where your money goes. You don't know what is the cost of the foundation, etc. So you don't control that. And you think that you do good, but probably only 40% of your money goes to people in need. So the United Nations of World Food Program, they are implementing blockchain technology. It's a really cool project. I also truly recommend you to check it, which will use iris scans to get a food. So refugees will get a food. So that's like incredible project. They plan to launch it this year. So it's quite advanced. They are testing that. And end of the day, they decided that they want to have everything on a blockchain to show people that the money which they are actually donating goes to the particular people who needs that. And it's also about the speed. So for example, if there is a hurricane somewhere or something bad happened, you need to actually give them money really fast. With the foundation, with the donation, it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of papers. There is a bureaucracy in charity, like a huge bureaucracy in charity. I actually admire people who are running foundations. And thanks to blockchain, it will be completely eliminated. You will just have a ledger and everything will be visible to everyone. Of course, no. It's just the statistic data. So I checked the statistics, and actually the most corrupted industry all over the world. Of course, we can discuss that in every country it's a little bit different. Probably politics, some government in Russia, etc., etc. But generally, charity, it's a huge problem. Yeah? And of course, a lot of other possibilities like loans. For now, this is actually one of the biggest problems which fintech is trying to solve. So they try to provide loans to people who are unbanked. So in the countries who don't have access to the bank infrastructure. But the risk over there is so high that actually no one can afford it. You would need investor with a lot of money to mitigate the risk, since almost 50% of the loans, they are never repaid. So try to imagine how huge liquidity you need to have to actually run that business. And with a blockchain, you will be able to actually track every transaction, so you will know if the person is not able to, for example, repay the loan, or maybe it's just playing around. Okay, so now one slide, actually it will be 2 slides, about Luno, so what we are doing. So as I mentioned, we have 3 solutions. One is wallet, so just buy, store, learn, etc. for entry-level users. The second one is exchange, so people who want to earn money on arbitrage, or they just want to play with Bitcoin, exchange it for other altcoins. We also have API for merchants. So if someone have a website and you want to actually accept payments in Bitcoin or Ethereum, you can connect with us via API. It's quite easy. Of course, we have solutions like small additional features like top-ups. So you can top up your phone via Bitcoin. You can send Bitcoin via SMS, via email, whatever you want. But those things are like really small, not generate revenue. Okay, if you are talking about security, you can check it later. I will share the presentation with Sonia, so if you will be interested about 2-factor authentication of how we are actually secure our Bitcoin. So for example, 95 of all the Bitcoin are in a cold storage, etc., etc. You can click in the presentation and go to the details. And as I mentioned, now we are trying to be regulated by FCA. We already have everything on a sandbox and filling the papers, so I hope that it will happen in 2 months maximum. More or less 40 countries, 3 continents, 1.6 million users. Oh, sorry. 1.6 million users. Actually now over 1.7, as I mentioned, it means that someone made at least 1 transaction, so it doesn't mean that he's a trader. Something about our investors. So for example, Naspers. I'm not sure if you know a lot of companies, but Naspers is one of the biggest investors in emerging markets like OLX, Tencent, WeChat. Have you ever heard those names? Yeah, perfect. And for example, in Poland, it's also Allegro or Payu Allegro. It's kind of eBay. Balderton Capital, also the main investor in such startups like Revolut, probably also known brand. Yeah, so Revolut, we actually, yeah. Okay, so you mentioned that you have a Bitcoin, it's like 30% of you, but I wanted to ask the rest and also the rest who doesn't have a Bitcoin, I will ask for that, the 30% for something else. So if you don't have a Bitcoin, with a code plugin, if you will just try our platform or application, whatever you prefer, we will give you €5 cashback. So just register, go to the level 1. Level 1, it's just email address and the mobile verification. And if you will type plugin, you will have a cashback, immediate cashback on your Bitcoin account. So you will own some Bitcoin. And when you will go for a beer with your friends, you can say, I have a Bitcoin, which is cool. I have a Bitcoin. And better because I also have Ethereum. And for those who already have a Bitcoin, I actually would like to ask for something more. So if you would like to test our solution, so our solution is really good in Africa, Asia, etc., I told you, but the flow, we already see that we have to change in Europe. It has to be probably a little bit more seamless, or maybe we shouldn't ask for a mobile verification in Paris, I don't know. So that's why we have a program for beta testers, and if you will send me an email, I can give you access to surveys. So you have to make a transaction. Then I will ask you to fill the survey and just tell me what you think about Luna. More or less is if you think that the usability is okay, or if you think the registration process is easy, or do you think that we should maybe change our KYC procedure. Just write it down. We pay €25 for beta tester who fill all the surveys and finish the transaction. So if you are interested in helping us to change a project, I would really appreciate, and just drop me an email. Also, I have my business cards over there, so if you don't want to talk to me and just send me an email later, no problem. And it would be great actually to have a feedback for you. As I mentioned, we don't have anyone responsible for France, so we are looking for a country manager. Maybe someone also will be interested. And that's all. Actually, the last slide. So everyone thinks that blockchain is something new. What happened in a garage that Satoshi Nakamoto, probably creepy guy in a garage, created. But actually, the economists over 30 years ago, they called that digital currency Phoenix. And there is a really cool article. You can click in the link. Really cool article about digital currency, which will be the one currency of the world. They call it Phoenix. It's just a description of the Bitcoin. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, and now any questions? Because I really wanted to throw that thing to someone. Oh, perfect. Wait.
Hello, thanks for the presentation. Sorry I was late.
No worries.
3 questions. On your website, it said €100 to create an account and to be an No?
No, there is no limit. You can buy crypto for €1.
No, I mean if I want to create a company in Estonia and a bank account, etc., like you said, in your website it's supposed to be around €100, but I think it's more. No, this is just it said the country.
To have a residency,
okay,
you have to pay €100, like a private residency. So I'm Magdalena. I have a residency in Estonia, and thanks to that, I can actually set up the company. There are some costs. It depends what kind of a company you want to set up, etc. It's not a lot.
Okay, thank you. So the second question would be, if I have a hedge fund, imagine I'm now a Estonian citizenship, thanks to you guys, and then I have a bank account, etc., and I set up a hedge fund there. Am I allowed to have French clients, European clients?
You are allowed to have every client from the European Union.
European bank law is
yes.
Okay, thank you.
No worries, my pleasure. You can throw that to someone.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to say bravo because your presentation is really good.
Thank you
really
so much.
summed everything up about blockchain. Like you said it all.
High five.
and I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed, and that's not why.
So maybe you want to work with Luna.
Actually, I have my company, so thanks for the offer, but too
You
bad.
can do two things.
I had a question. I almost forgot. Yeah, my question is: I saw that you are a fintech expert.
Yes, so
on the website.
I can tell you a little bit more about it. So I started actually in PayU. So this is a payment provider in emerging markets in Central Eastern Europe. Actually, not only in Central Eastern Europe, now in 17 countries. I was responsible for Eastern Europe, Africa, and Latin America. PayU, for those who doesn't know, it's like PayPal, but for emerging markets, not for Western Europe. In Western Europe, you have a PayPal, so we didn't come here. And also, I was working in Creditech. So Creditech, it's a German company, e-lending company, and TransferGo, international money transfer remittances.
Okay, and in Luno, you are.
I'm responsible for Eastern Europe, so I'm responsible for the region and actually launching Luna everywhere in that region.
Okay, that was my question. Basically, thanks.
Perfect.
Hi. What do you think about the GDPR compliance
Okay.
about blockchain? How do you face it? Is it an important legal issue
Of
for your
course,
business?
it makes... Okay, it's on the one hand, it's good that it comes because now a lot of people actually are spammed with a lot of information, of course. Sometimes I think that it's a little bit too much. So the responsibility of the company is too big compared to the responsibility of the individual user. Because if you actually are giving me the email because you wanted to have a, I don't know, $5 cashback, etc., sorry, you gave me that. So I can use it, right? Just you should then ask me, okay, please, I don't want it more. But of course, we changed a little bit our policy. We had to. And we will not be sending emails, more or less. We will not be calling customers unless they will ask us for that. But on the other hand, I believe that it will eliminate players who are playing not fair. So who are spamming customers, who are giving really shitty offers like win the iPad, win Mac, etc., and just leave the email, and then they were spamming everyone with the offers. So it will clean up the market in a long term, 1-2 years. The big companies will stay. People will subscribe to the newsletters and to information because they will not be spammed with other information.
And about the blockchain, the paradox about blockchain and GDPR.
This is really complicated discussion. Yes, but this is about the KYC. Yeah. So when the regulator will actually tell us, okay, so you have to run that kind of a KYC. If someone is trading over that amount, you have to ask him for a proof of address, whatever. So we will be doing that, of course. We already do that because of FCA. The issue is how we will use that data. So probably we will be able to use that data only if we are talking about the transaction and detection of the fraud. We will never use that data to actually send you anything or promote you anything. That data will be secured on a server and it will not be possible to touch by marketing team. For sure, no.
But it will be on the blockchain. That's a problem.
Yeah, it will be in a blockchain. But this is a difficult question. That's why regulator can't regulate everything. Actually, I had a really cool meeting with the regulator a couple of days ago. And they told me that they actually see two really big problems. First of all, first biggest problem for them, it was that you can't actually reverse the transaction. So they said, if something bad happened, we actually can't do anything with that. Yeah? So you can't reverse the transaction, so what they can regulate if something bad happened? So we were talking, okay, so but you have to prevent that. And you can prevent that if we will run a really good KYC. Yeah, but on the other hand, the whole idea of Bitcoin, blockchain, whatever, is to be a little bit more private than it is now. And we don't want companies to have so many data. So this is like a huge clash. And that's why it's so difficult to actually regulate Bitcoin in every country. But if I would know the answer on that question, I would probably be really rich. I will try to find out and then I will call you.
I'm sorry, I was born at a time when computers were bigger as this room, and and technically I don't know a lot of things. But I've heard that one problem to develop all this kind of money is the energy needed to mine. I'm not
Yes.
sure of it. What do you think?
It's a lot of energy is needed to do that. It's like 300 more than regular bank transfer. So the Bitcoin transaction, it's 300 more energy consuming than a regular transaction. But well, we will just build a better computers and better solutions. Like when you were born, it was so slow that actually you couldn't even run the transaction from one person to another in real time. It was taking like 7 days probably. And now we are doing that in a millisecond. So I believe that in 10 years we will be doing that even before you will think about it.
There is an idea to mine cryptocurrencies, solar panels. There is an idea to start mining cryptocurrencies using solar panels that are located right next to the sun in the space. So, you know, there are ideas. Some people also buy Tesla because they can charge it in the US for free and then they put miners inside. You know, you can be creative.
Excuse me. No, I'm not a speaker, but I absolutely want to answer to that. There's this thing called proof of stake, so you don't actually need to mine and use a lot of power. So it solves this problem too.
But also Bitcoin is limited, yeah? So you have a 21 million Bitcoins, then you will not need so much energy to mine it. Okay, so I think that I will just give the microphone to another... Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I have a question because it's really interesting to me why you decided to be regulated with FCA in the UK because of Brexit. Like now, no lawyer in this world, I think, knows anything about the regulation of financial institutions in the UK. So why this decision?
That's a really easy question. So we actually want to be regulated not only in UK by FCA, but also we want to have a license in Germany. It's happening, I believe, I hope so, maybe even today it happened. If not, probably like a couple of weeks. And we are also trying to be regulated in Netherlands. And the reason it's really, really, really easy, it's about the trust. So if the customers will see that we are regulated, it will be way easier to convince them to actually become our customers. Because now the biggest problem which we struggle, people are afraid. Especially they are afraid to store Bitcoin in the e-wallet. So they prefer to store Bitcoin by themselves, right? If they are heavy players. If they are entry level, they actually don't understand what's going on and they are a little bit afraid. So that's why they go to the biggest player most of the time, right? So thanks to regulations and also thanks to cooperation with a couple of banks which we started, we plan to use it to increase the trust and to show people, guys, we are fully transparent. You can see everything what we are doing. You see we have auditors. Your money is safe. Yeah?
Okay, big applause to Magda. It was a very good presentation. And now welcome Marek, and he's going to tell you a lot about blockchain and art.
Okay, hello. Maybe I will start with introducing myself. So I'm a veteran in IT. I spent nearly 30 years working in different IT projects. I launched 9 startups in my life. I spent 2.5 years in a corporate world. The first corporate world was 2 years at the Polish Academy of Science when I was finalizing my PhD. And then I spent 6 months in France Telecom. France Telecom bought my startup and I was fired 6 months later because they told me I'm too competent. As I told you, my background is from mathematics and from control theory. I make my PhD very funny subject. This is control of the decentralized systems. So I was already involved with decentralization in the 80s. And then 1 week after getting my PhD, I left Poland. It was a communist country. I moved to France, and I was traveling across the world with different projects. So, as I told you, I made. This is my ninth startup. I made 8 others. With one, I made quite a good exits. I was bankrupt once. I lost all money 10 years ago. But I reverse, and Artea is something that I believe will be a great company. So it's more or less my background now. Why art and why blockchain? I was starting in the year 2002. I started to work on the art market, but it was a public institutions. So we built over a few years a system for authorized management, the biggest company in the world, which is in France, ADGP. Then we built, I think, the most complex art management system, which manages still right now all what French state possess in contemporary and modern art. It represents 80 institutions, including Centre Pompidou, including all the FRACs, FNAC, Musée Chagall, Musée Picasso, altogether around 500,000 objects with a very complex live versioning, and etc. It took us 6 years to develop it, and I went bankrupt with this project. But I made a lot of connections in the art world, across the world, and among the others, I started to know very important art collectors. So I met in 2007. I met one of the biggest art collectors in the world, Swiss billionaire Guy Oulens, who had a collection, the biggest art collection of Chinese contemporary art, over 44,000 art pieces. So I built a collection management system for him, and then I got another one, which was Antoine de Galbert, it's La Maison Rouge, he's here in Paris, and then several others. So I love to work with them because it was kind of easy money. They were not complicated. They were not asking for complicated things. They were really, I would say, they have their legs on the ground. But they were telling me a lot about the problems they have. Their problems, very special problems to which they encounter. And I was thinking a lot about this. It took me a couple of years. And then, as I had this background in decentralized system, and I was quite involved with cryptography at the time being, I said, why not to use the technology which is behind Bitcoin, which means blockchain, and why not to build a system on this? So I started to program this with one guy 3 years ago. Made the first version. Then we started to raise money. It took us 1 year and we got zero euros. We couldn't find any money. I made maybe 30 pitches in London, and I couldn't get any money. So I met my friend, with whom I was doing other projects a couple of years ago, and I told he's an art collector. I told him what I'm doing, what's my problem. And he told me, you will never raise money with normal people because nobody understands art. You have to get seed from people who like technology and who more or less are eager to build something with you. And so he told me, well, I don't know such people, I told him. He told me, he answered, come to Brussels, because he's in Brussels, I will meet with somebody. So he organized a meeting with 10 people, and after we just needed 2 meetings. In 2 hours, I got $500,000 seed money from 2 big collectors. One is Tattinger family. Probably everybody knows Champagne Tattinger. Another one was Olivier Marion. It's a #1 company in the world in luxury medical houses for elder people. It's Group Orpea was on a stock exchange here, 7 billion euros. So they gave me money, and we started to work. After a couple of months, Olivier became a kind of somebody who worked with us on a daily basis, and we started to build the platform. A new platform. We threw away everything what we did, and we decided to take a completely another approach. Then is a very funny story. Before presenting you details, what happened then? I was invited by Google to make a presentation about what they are doing in a Dublin conference. It was in January 2016, and I was all the time thinking how to build a system when we will be able to provide a very fine transactions when we'll have a kind of a warranty that we'll get that money, so that we'll not be asking, okay, we are taking 10%, but we have no way to check if when the transaction is anonymous that we will get that money, okay? And we wanted to provide anonymous transaction because we wanted to provide a total safety for the people who are making the transaction. They have many reasons to do this. And so that I started to think about tokens, and we get into, a few months later, we get into tokens, and after 1 year, in 2017, in June, my advisor from the blockchain community, a top guy in security, told me, why you don't make ICO? I say, what is ICO? I didn't know what is ICO. Then we started to work on ICO, and at the end I will tell you where are we now with this process. Anyway, this is very uncommon startup, because we started from real problems of real people. I got money from not financial people, not from VC. I got money from these collectors because they accepted and they decided that what I want to build is exactly what they need. And what they need, for example, is a kind of anonymous transaction. Why? Because if Marek, I will go to the gallery and I will ask to buy that Picasso, I will get the price for me. But if they know that I am a Picasso collector, and if they know that I am rich, because probably they will find out, the price can be 50%, can be 100% bigger, because they know that I need it. Okay. The same thing is with lending, with any kind of operations they are doing. Of course, another problem they have is they don't like to be uncovered. So they don't want that everybody is speaking about them. They don't like to be profiled. There are 4 big companies who are doing mainly, I would say, 80% of the old auction market is Christie's, Sotheby's, Phillips, and Heritage. And anybody who is applying for the auction is profiled. What do it mean profiled? They know what they are looking for, or they try to know what they are looking for. If there is an artwork which is of potential interest to you, they will add 10, 20, 30% more to this. They are providing a kind of insurance for what we are buying, but this insurance is very hypothetical. Just to give you one small example, my partner bought a very famous artist in New York. He paid over $600,000 for this piece of art, and 20 years later, right now, just in New York, he wanted to sell it because he knew that this artist from that period will cost now between 1.5 million to 2 millions. And he learned that the artwork he bought was not from the period Christie's warranted. It was 20 years later, which was much less precious. So, and he had all the papers. And he had all the papers with the provenance. So he went with these papers to New York, to the foundation of this guy, to check what was the date. And the date was a correct one. So the date was, they told him that it's not that worse. They said, we sent this date 15 years ago to Christie's. But on a document he got, the date was 20 years earlier. So the problem was that where was the mistake? Somebody made a mistake. Now, whether this mistake was done in a purpose or whether this mistake was done by accident, you never know. Okay, you will never know. Anyway, this shows you how important it is to have a blockchain provenance, which means history of the artwork, blockchain. So you know that this artwork is that one and only one. So, so we decided maybe it's just sleeping. Okay. Don't I can push it manually. That one? Then, okay. Let's go to, okay. So what we are building, what was at the beginning a small project of art management system for the collectors, it's now becoming more a kind of ecosystem when we want to build a kind of centralized database of users, of potential actors. These actors are collectors, artists, art professionals, and the actors are also the artworks inside. So we want to build a huge database. This database is centralized. But over this centralized database, we want to provide a peer-to-peer transactions. Transactions which are anonymous, transactions which are very fast, transactions when the cost is really small. We decided to build it on a blockchain, and we'll use something which is called private blockchain. Because this is not a system for everybody. We don't want to have anybody who just will try to enter and will try to make some kind of noise. All the stakeholders we will be speaking to decided that they prefer to have a private blockchain, which means that anybody accepted by the network to become a partner can then run a node if he wants. We'll probably have 12 nodes, and we are speaking to big partners like Deloitte, like KPMG, like some big museum of contemporary art, to become a partner in such a venture. So, what problems we are trying to solve? I already said you something on that subject. So, most collectors right now, they do not have any updated inventory of what they have. And this can be a big problem for them. Because, for example, when somebody has a collection and dies, they cannot make a heritage before cataloging everything. And it can take years. For Picasso family, it took 15 years. Or no, 17 years. Same for the artists. Artists are selling their artworks, and then they are wondering what happened to the artwork when they become famous. If they are not famous, maybe they are not interesting. But when they are becoming famous, they are trying to trace what happened to this art. I already said that ownership record is also a big problem, because nobody want to buy an artwork which is stolen, or an artwork which maybe was changed during some process. Another big problem is selling art. Selling art, somebody thinks that is very easy. It's very complicated, because when you are artists, you have a big wall of art galleries or traders who are just trying to speculate on the art. So you are getting a blockage. The best illustration of this is that on the whole art market, on secondary art market, 70% of all art transactions in the last year was done on 25 artists, 25 names, took over 70% of the art market. Now we have another problem. If if I have a Chagall to sell and I'm giving it to Christie's or Sotheby's, and they make an estimation and they tell me, well, it should go for 2 million. So I expect to get 2 million. But if I will not sell this artwork for the price which is in the catalog, the artwork is what we call grilled. You cannot sell it for the next 5, maybe 10 years. You have to hide it, and maybe in some years from now it can reappear. Then I don't know if you are aware about commission fees. Christie's, Sotheby's, Philips, they are taking between 30 to 40% of the art price. So this is completely crazy. Galleries are taking between 10 to 30%, but if the artist is unknown, they can take up to 80%. And what is very funny, it's what I discovered working with one collector. There is a huge market for lending art, and the collectors are really eager to lend art. And lending art brings them a lot of benefits. In many countries, especially in Anglo-Saxon countries, when you show your artworks for 30 days per year, you don't pay a tax on a capital gain when you sell this artwork. You can get a lot of benefits for your artwork, because if the artist is unknown and somebody institution who has a kind of name in this art space show it on the exhibition, the price of this artist can rise significantly. Just to give you an example, one of our customers, when I delivered him the first system 7 years ago, he told me that over the 7 years, he made more than 15,000 lendings. So his art started really to travel. And before, he was just getting some money for renovation. Now it's bringing him between 100 to 200,000 euros per year. So this can be a quite interesting opportunity for these people. So where we are, what we are building. Our solution is, as I said, a global ecosystem. When any kind of imaginary services you can like as an artist or as a collector, it will be provided. Of course, these services will be coming in stages. What we have right now and what is already in use, we have 5 customers, paying customers, 80 beta testers. This is a collection management, which you can have. You can make a catalog, you can make an inventory, you can make any kind of reports, and you can manage your events. You can prepare exhibitions. This is a cloud-based system and has a very special architecture, which it's only us who provide. Each customer has his own private database, so we are not in a multi-tenant architecture. We are putting all the data in one database. For each customer, we are launching a new instance of the database. It was a very good solution, because it's very straightforward when we want now to do a blockchain. By the end of the year, we'll have an immutable provenance based on a blockchain technology. At the beginning, we'll use public blockchain, Ethereum, or maybe EOS, we'll see. And finally, in the next year, we'll have a system based on a private blockchain. In 2019, we should have pseudonymous matching and lending of artworks. What does it mean? This means that knowing our system, who knows a lot of information about the collection and about the collector, can make a matching using some statistical and AI algorithm to provide some kind of match of somebody who probably has some item which another collector would like to buy. Another thing is another opportunity is lending. I learned also during the last 2 years that there is a lot of collectors who doesn't want to buy Basquiat, but they would like to pay 100,000 euros to have a Basquiat at their house for 3 months, or maybe in exchange for something else. There are thousands of them. In the 2011, we hope to have by the end a one-stop shop and provide a peer-to-peer networking between all the actors of this platform. So now it's more or less what we have now. I was already talking about this. The system is working on as I said, it's cloud-based system. It works on any mobile device, Android or iPhone or iOS. It works on a PC and a Mac. Yes. Yeah, I will tell you about this later. Okay. So now what we are working on this. The first one is a online showrooms to share collections. We will provide two kind of showcases. One is a private showcase, another one is a public showcase. When somebody make a public showcase, he will get some incentive. It will be tokens. If somebody will make a private showcase out to somebody else, he will have to pay some tokens. Another one is a provenance tracker. It will take years to do it because we are not going to have a magic day one and when all the art will be cataloged. But we think that with a crowdsourcing in a way that all actors on the platform will be interested in this, we should get in a few years quite a big database. We will have this pseudonymous matching, and we already have two customers from London who want to sell their quite expensive artworks. One is Bacon, another one is Monet, but they want to get the crypto. They want to get Bitcoin. They want to be totally anonymous. Then there is this lending processes which also will be done on the platform. And we are working with a group of very clever and top AI scientists on the recommendation engine and on the price forecasting. We have maybe I will talk about this a little later. What is our market? So the market is right now is about globally is about 600,000. Mid to high level collectors. Mid to high level collector is somebody who has more than 300 pieces or collection worth more than $1 million. So there is near 600,000 of them. The art sales was at that level, and the online is around $6 billion. What I didn't put here, I don't know because it was not me who made the slides. There is one very important collector. There is over 40 millions over the counter collectors. Those are collectors who are not in the process of collecting, but from time to time they are buying 1-2 art pieces per year. These people has a big problem because they really don't know where to go, what to do. And I think that these people can be a very important part of the network. Just to give you another number, between 600,000 collectors, 0.5% is using any kind of electronic database. Usually is Word or Excel. Over 99% has nothing. They're still on paper. Okay. Right now, we have 80 beta users, 5 paying customers, 10,000 artworks already onboarded. About 10,000 are just in onboarding processes. We are in 2 incubators. It's a KPMG Cube fintech incubator in Luxembourg, and it's Loft. It's a banks and Luxembourg government, another incubator in fintech. We got a KPMG valuation of nearly 11 million euros, and we raised in seed money 1.8 million euros. All the money, all the second round came from our current investors. I'll tell you later on. Of course, we have some competition, but maybe it's not that interesting for us, for you. But there are companies who are on this market. What is very interesting is these companies were maybe few last year. It grows by factor of 10, maybe in 15 this year. Now, how we differentiate from the other players? We are currently only one company doing all what this market can need. So we are making art collection, we are making provenance, and we are making peer-to-peer transactions. There are companies doing this, but they are doing in a completely separate way. Our system is very, very customizable. In a matter of hours, we can adapt it for artists, for another kind of collectibles. We are speaking about art, but we can do other collection easily. Actually, we have one of the biggest collector of the ex libris of the first edition of books from France on our system. Okay, so this is what we are proposing right now. What is very interesting is this third part, fixed micro commissions for provenance, matching, and lending. On our platform, we will provide a complete mechanism for which will from one side accept tokens for some actions, and will provide tokens to users for providing some value to the network. So if somebody provides a biogram of the artist he just bought to the network, he'll get tokens. If somebody lends something somewhere, he'll get tokens. We'll provide. We'll be taking very small commission on a sale and trade lending operation, comparing to the markets. Actually, the market standard is about 30%. We are seeking about 2 to 3%. Paid in tokens. So we do hope within 3 years to have about 7,000 subscribers, have about more than 8 million euros in revenue, and get a break even by the end of the next year. Now, something about the team. So it's those are 3 persons are the founders. It's Philippe Gelman. He's the guy, French guy from finance, who built Boursorama and Bourse Direct. And then he started to make fashion, whatever. I already told enough about me. Olivier Marianne is our main investor who put a lot of money into our company and who is working on a daily basis with us. He knew nothing about blockchain a year ago, and now he's better than me in this. So I'm very happy. Victor Tendera is our lead developer. He's a very brilliant guy who won several mathematics Olympics in Poland. He finished the best algorithmic lyceum in Poland, and he was designing nearly everything in the system. This is our team in Krakow. All the development team in Krakow. We don't have development. All the marketing and all the sales are in other countries in Krakow, but the team is in Krakow. Well, something about our advisors. So Anish Mohammed is maybe the top name in the security of blockchain. He's a doctor of medicine, but then he's moved to information sciences. He made a PhD in cryptology, and he was working mainly for the bank sector. In 2010, he moved completely to blockchain, and he started to work in this area. And he's advisor to many big companies, and we became friends some time ago. And this guy told me, go to tokens and go to ICO. Richard Castelline is a guy who is behind maybe 50 ICOs. All these ICOs, a part of one, were successful. François Blanc is a top guy in art advisory here in Paris. My friend Tomek, who is now working for Kotak One, but probably will move to us. Piotr is a very famous Polish person in physics. He is a specialist in, I don't know, teoria strun. It's a generalization of quantum mechanics, whatever, but he's bored with this and he's doing AI with us and blockchain also. Christopher Gaillard is a famous gallery here in Paris. Now we have 3 other big names. We are probably will get a top executive director from JP Morgan as our advisor. We'll get a guy who was building the biggest financial system in the world, who is still running 60% stock exchange and derivative markets. A guy who was also, the company was called Jail Trade. Then he do Lending Club, the company who is worth now in US 7 billions. And he want to be our advisor also. Now, as I said, we raised this 1.7 million euros. And our biggest investors are Dr. Jean-Claude Marion, this founder and a former CEO of the Orpea Group, which is #1 in the world in elderly houses with medical care. Tattinger family and Frederic Charles Petit, maybe you've heard about Toluna. Toluna is one of the 5 biggest online survey company, 2,300 people working there. This is the last slide, and now I will tell you maybe the most interesting part, which is our ICO experience. So a year ago, I was driving from Luxembourg to Brussels after the meeting with KPMG and being accepted to the Cube incubator. We had a very nice meeting there, and we in the car we will be discussing how much money we need to get to build a system based on tokens, and the numbers was between 4 to 6 million euros, even if you take into account Polish prices for developers, which are much smaller than here. And our investors start to complain that we want to be, why we have to do it? We don't want to be diluted, etc., etc. Maybe we should take some more time. I said, no, either we do it quickly or somebody else will do it. So then Anish was in the car, told me, why we don't make an ICO? I said, what the fuck is ICO? So he started to explain it to me. I caught it quite quickly. We came back to Brussels. I started to speak to investors. They didn't understand anything. No clue about what is it. Then I came with Anish to London. I spent a week with him. He convinced me totally. I said, we have to do it. So I called my investor. I told him we have to meet next day. So we are coming to Saturday, find an hour or two. So we had this meeting, and they started to think about it. It took us 2.5 months to convince them. Okay. The most funny thing, the 2 of them were convinced after a week, but my CEO, the guy who spent all his life in finance, was totally unconvinced. He told me the security, it will be big mess. I don't want to be again in trouble, etc., etc., etc. Finally, in September, we said, okay, we do ICO. We were ready in October. In October, we didn't know where to do the ICO, so somebody told us, let's do it in Gibraltar. This is the best place in Europe to do this. So we find a very prestigious lawyers specializing in ICO. We send them advance, and they disappear for six weeks. We took money and nobody, okay? Then we learned that apparently somebody has an accident, he was in coma, whatever. That was the story. In the meantime, we decided to do this in Switzerland. We already set up everything, but then there was a big mess with Tezos. I don't know if you know about Tezos. So KPMG told us we are not going to do foundation. We will be not doing any foundation anymore from now. So we have to make a normal company. With a normal company, is a lot of problems because of VAT, about transfer, whatever. I don't want to enter into details. And they told us we have to wait. You have to wait. Because we are now there is FINMA, Swiss regulators looking about this, and we don't know what will be happening. So we'll come back to you in December. In December, we called them, nothing's happening. In January, nothing's happening. So Ani said, well, let's do it in Singapore. So we start to investigate Singapore. But then finally, by I don't know what happened, in beginning of February, we got a call from KPMG, from Zug, from Crypto Valley, and they told me, okay, we can do it with you, we like your project. So we went next day to Switzerland to define everything. And we've been ready to start, but then FINMA published on the 28th of February, FINMA published rules for ICOs. What is security, what is not security, etc., etc., etc. So as my investors don't want to be involved with any kind of illegal stuff, we need to go through regulations. So we started to speak to KPMG. We spent a lot of money on paying them. I don't even want to tell you how much. But anyway, we got the questionnaire, and we spent then again 6 weeks working on answering the question from FINMA. So as to prove that our token is no security token, is no payment token, is a utility token. Utility token means this token is used to access the platform. We did it. We spent last 2 weeks moving around, and today the paper were accepted by FINMA. So they accepted to go through them. If we'll get the clearance, we will do ICO by the end of June. We are already making private selling. We have some big names interested in tokens. Our soft cap is 6 million, is the minimum we want to get, but we are aiming for 40 million euros. Now, why ICO? Why ICO? This is a very funny question, and this is exactly the same question I was posing myself a year ago. I mean, and my big investor, who is 78 years old, when I explained him what is ICO, and I told him about the risk or whatever, he was looking at me. He said, "Well, let me think, and I will answer you in a quarter." And in a quarter, he came to us and he told us like this: "Well, if there are money lying on the street, why not take them and build something great?" So that's what we are doing. We think that we are really building a network, and we quite well investigated this market. As I told you, we've been the platform, and all the founders except me are big art collectors. Collection of Jean-Claude Marian is worth over $1 billion of dollars. It's one of the biggest collections in Europe, and they know the kind of problems they have. This is the first thing. Second thing is that we've been approached by artists because we've been making a lot of shows in London. We've been invited to many events, art events, and the artists came to us. We have 200 famous artists from the first-rank artists from UK who want to be on the platform. So then we said, well, if we raise enough money, why don't to make a kind of charity? Why don't to make a kind of foundation, couple of million euros for promoting a young artist from different countries, from different continents, etc., etc., etc. So we said that if we get that money, we'll be able to really do something fantastic. If we don't price them, we have to go a classical way, which means VC. And I don't know how many of you were in touch or discuss or negotiated with VC. So good luck.
Hi. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question, which is, how much percentage is allocated for the team, and how much percentage is going to be allocated for the promoting the arts and young artists? And don't you think $40 million for an art project isn't too much?
No, this is not art project only. I don't know if you called it. This is a whole ecosystem. And just to build a provenance database, it will take a lot of money because provenance is something incredibly complex. Promotion will also take some huge amount of money. But to be more precise, we allocated for the team, for the advisors, around between 15 to 20%. I don't know the numbers, and maybe 2 or 3% for the bounty, and 65% is going to be sold. From what we know right now, it seems that we'll get all the money in pre-sale, but we are not so happy with this because when you make a pre-sale, you have to give a big discount. Okay, so we'll see. Okay, we'll decide later on. Yes.
Hello. So first of all, dziękuję bardzo.
Okay, thank you.
And also, so have you thought about augmented reality applied to your thing? Because I have a student who have slaved to work on a project, which would be, there's an artist who wants to show his art in VR to potential client. So the potential client, so I'm giving you $1 million idea here, so we'll have to share the money. So the people would 3D scan their house. This service exists already. And then using that 3D modeling, they would put the art inside the house and then visit inside the house if the art looks good.
It's definitely one of the axes we are thinking of. We already make some kind of investigation because there are two kind of customers. Some customers want to see how to place the art they have at their house. Some others, it's a very interesting case, they want to decorate their house, and if they can find something which is not too expensive, but it's real art, they are eager to take it. And it's very funny, because I met somebody very rich, but a young guy who just made an exit and on Bitcoins, and he bought a huge house in Provence, and he told me, I would like to have real art here, but I don't want to pay too much, and I want that it fits to these spaces. And so we spoke with the guys from AI, whatever, and we find out it's a very interesting idea, to provide some kind of service. You pay 5 tokens, you access the platform, you see what is to sell, and then you arrange with the help of the system your house. And a second kind of customers are institutions who are organizing exhibitions. And when you are a professional curator, it's easy because you know more or less how to do it. But if you make a small exhibition, or maybe you have a public space and you want to show something, it will be helpful for you to organize it. And all this work is done manually. The guys are cutting photos, putting on a paper. I know it because I was building system for Jeux de Paume, so I know how it works. It's totally crazy. So I would be happy, eventually to meet that guy and see what can be done together.
Hi, I have a question about the transaction of buying and selling artwork with your platform. How will it work? Will you generate a token for each artwork? Will you just use Bitcoin to buy it?
Okay.
How do you plan to do it?
There will be, I shouldn't tell about this too much because then it will be considered as security, our token. But generally, we couldn't even use the word trade in our white paper. So I mean, making matching, whatever, because otherwise we can be considered as a security token. Absolutely, in the future, if everything works fine, we'll apply not only for securities but for derivatives on art, and we will be providing that kind of service. Of course, before we'll ask for clearance, and together we'll apply for the license because we need to have a license for this. So initially on our platform, we will be able to proceed with a transaction, but the transaction will be not going through our platform. There will be a smart contract which will trigger the transaction, but all will be happening behind the platform. This is at the beginning, but then, of course, we'll be doing in our platform.
Okay, thank you.
Monsieur?
Hello. My question is, how are you going to implement the right of first refusal of states when it comes to auction sales based on the blockchain? So say I'm in Poland, I'm buying an art piece in France that I want for my house in Zakopane.
Yeah.
And, well, French government says, no, this is staying in France, we're buying it for the Louvre.
Okay, the answer is very quick. We are not going to provide auctions for a while. Then maybe in 2-3 years we'll think about it. But we are definitely not going into auctions. Our ultimate goal is to make arbitrage, because that is where it is the most money. But it's for later. Okay, to do arbitrage, we have to solve a very complex problems, which is a ZKP, zero knowledge proofs. And it's not trivial stuff, but definitely it's our aim, and that is why that guy from JP Morgan, who is heading a pricing unit, is so much interested in us, because he wants to do it. Okay, this is a huge market, and it's the same with derivatives. Okay, you can play on how the art will be rising. Okay.
Hello, I really wanted to do that. I would like to dig deeper a little bit in future, so in a marketplace.
Yeah.
So how you plan to solve a shipment and a tax? For example, if someone is from China and it will be delivered to Russia, on the border probably shipment will be blocked and you will be responsible if the transaction was closed on your platform, right?
No. We will be using, as I said, smart contracts to run the transaction. Okay, but there will be human intervention. Actually, it's the kind of business process which we elaborated with Anish, and it is actually waiting for patent. It's quite unique approach to do this, and we hope that it will get that patent in US, because you cannot patent a business process in Europe. But it's quite very tricky, and we already checked it with manually how it will work, and that is something which those guys will accept.
Ah, okay, interesting. I would love to know the details.
Yeah, I will not tell you details until
I will wait for a patent, okay. And
as soon as we got the acceptance, not patent yet, because for patent it takes 3 years, but if we get acceptance for the patent from the patent office, then we can tell more about this.
Perfect. And you actually showed that you plan to have a 10% of the market within 3 years, as far as I remember. 60,000 people. You want to have 7,000.
No, we want to get within 3 years 1.5% of the collectors market. Of the collectors, because we aim to have 8,000 customers from the population of 600,000.
Okay. So in my head, I was working on one project once with the art, and actually we failed because that community is really closed, and when they want to trade, they actually call friends. So the question is, how you want to marketing that to actually tell people buy something from China if you don't know the person even?
This is a very good question, and of course, this system at the beginning for the next 3-5 years has to be very person-oriented. It's a kind of, we call those people aggregator, and these people know what they are doing. They will be part of the system. That is why, for example, we need to have some more money to motivate them. I know a guy in London, a French guy, who came to London and he made a small investment fund for startups. He was investing small money, 50,000, 100,000 pounds. But he found, and he was a big art lover, and he knew a lot of people. After 3 years, he stopped to make a fund because he was making art trade between 1,000 people he knew, and he was taking only 10% commission. And he told me that he made 11 million pounds on a commission in the last year, just because he knew people. Okay, but he told me it's very manual. If we can optimize it and make it global, it will be incredible.
Yeah, but this is actually my next question. So you have people on the platform, and if you will reveal their identity, it will be really easy to get access to them. So you will destroy the community which already exists. So I believe that no one will want to actually tell, yes, I have a 3,000 art pieces.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So it will be the nickname, or it will be some crypto?
It will be pseudonym. So it works like that. To access the platform, you have to do a complete KYC. You cannot otherwise be on the platform. Okay. So each actor on the platform need to pass a KYC. Okay. Now, his data is encrypted, and he has only access to it's a private public key, private database. We don't have access to the data. We don't have the access to the data, but 95% of these people will provide you a lot of data publicly, but anonymously. Now, using ZKP, zero knowledge proofs, we can trigger a transaction between two actors. They don't have to know each other, but they will be sure that what is inside is what they want.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this is the perfect way to be GDPR compliant.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you shouldn't tell that to everyone, please. Let's keep it.
No. The problem with GDPR compliance for blockchain is all this data you store on a blockchain. Okay. So, for example, in a provenance, you put that Mr. X had this artwork between this and this, and this, according to the European regulation, it's you cannot put it except that he makes a except that he agrees. Okay. But each collector, and I know many of them, wants to know who had the artwork before, but he doesn't want to say that I have it now. Okay. So so there is a kind of tricky stuff, but.
And also about that lending. So that lending is only between B2B and B2C, or also individual users, they lend to each other.
Individual users, as I told I know the guy who just want to have a Basquiat, and he was ready to. He told me, if you know somebody who can take my bacon, I will be happy to have Basquiat now because it's more funny.
So I understood correctly. Why? So why people want to borrow for a couple of days the piece of art?
No, not for a couple of days. For a couple of months. For a couple of days doesn't make sense because you have to package it, send it. No, because most of these people has a kind of they are merging art, and these people like these things, but they cannot get everything that they like.
I was thinking that you want to open the target market, so not to focus on rich people, but to focus on people who are poor, but they want to have something at least for a while. So to target people who can't afford art, but want to have, like, lending Chanel purse, which is quite popular, right?
Yeah, of course. This also we will not put restrictions on that kind of stuff. But I don't believe that somebody who has Basquiat will borrow it to the guy who has one room together with a kitchen. So it can be a problem for Basquiat painting.
Okay.
Okay, maybe one last question because we ran over time, and then we will move to networking part. So then you can continue with conversation, but also eat something and drink some wine. So it always helps.
Can you explain how you would implement zero-knowledge proofs with tangible assets?
I'm not too competent to tell you about this, but maybe soon I will be with Anish here. Anish will explain it to you. This is one of the top guys from Zero Knowledge Proof. Actually, he's running a lab for this.
Zero-knowledge proofs are a software-based method. How do you apply that to artwork, and how do you use that to one, verify the integrity of it, and to facilitate it?
As I told you, I'm not competent to explain this, but the guy told me this is one of this patent pending stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Nice. Thank you so much for coming over here. I hope we can. By the way, how many Polish people are here? Can you? Oh, nice. Quite a lot. Okay, quite a lot. Nice, very nice. Okay, so I just got a message that the pizza arrived, so it's warm and it's nice. I'm going to bring it in a second. Thank you so much, Magda, Marek, and girls who helped me, Kasia and Kamila. Thank you so much. And let's come here, please. Can you come over here and let's take a picture because, it's the very first event and I'm really happy that you're all here.
Tej dostawy.